A group of Congolese women do gather here at least once a week. These women were affected by the volcano eruption of Mount Nyiragongo a few months ago. They do come here to participate in capoeira classes, a traditional Afro-Brazilian practice used as a psychosocial tool to reduce trauma and also help women who are vulnerable. The courses are provided by an organization known as Gingando Pela Paz DRC, which is a Congolese rights group formed in Goma last year. The objective of this approach is also to contribute to the reconstruction of the identity of these women and also to cultivate the culture of peace, dialogue and love, as explained by Flavio Sudade. Capoeira is an Afro-Brazilian manifest that was developed in Brazil by a group of Africans. Over time, it became an educational tool, and today we use capoeira as a social technology. It really helps a person rebuild his identity, and it also allows these women to be in a safe space where they can rebuild their identity and reduce trauma. For this woman in her late 30s, capoeira has allowed her to grow and rebuild psychologically after the difficult events she experienced during the volcanic eruption. The benefit of capoeira for me is that it helps me to grow and love for my neighbor. It also helped me overcome tribalism. When I go for training, it actually helps me a lot. I play with my friends and everyone. The women initiated in capoeira classes have become ambassadors for peace. They often go out into the field to teach their peers about living together.
I'm on a league of my own.
Soothing and soulful can best describe the voice of the 2018 South African Music Awards nominee, Bongeziwe Mabandla. With this voice, Mabandla has gained massive popularity in his home country and has performed at concerts and festivals overseas. In his home language, Xhosa, the young artist serenades fans to some love songs from his latest album titled The Days.
I try to be, I'm influenced by artists like Tracy Chapman and Lauryn Hill, who have that style of writing. So it always was important for me to kind of write music that's really truthful. And I think the most easiest way to be truthful in music is to kind of write your own truth.
His latest album, which was released at the peak of the pandemic, draws on the heritage of Maskandi, the musical tradition of migrant workers. His songs convey messages of the different emotions love carries and also talks about how love can change an individual.
It really speaks about how love can change you. Like Zange means never, and the chorus goes, never was I the same again. I became another person since that moment. And it's just like when love touches you, how much it can feel like, you are a different person, and it can make your outlook on life very different.
As a sign of acceptance, fans at a recent concert in Johannesburg shouted out Jebu, a South African word of approval.
British Prince Charles met Egypt's president and the head of Sunni Islam's prestigious Al-Azhar institution Thursday in Cairo on a mission centered on the interfaith coexistence and the battle against climate change. Charles, accompanied by his wife Camilla, held talks with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. The royal couple flew in from Jordan for a 2-day visit on the second leg of a regional tour. Following COP26 that wound up in the Scottish city of Glasgow this month, Egypt is to host the next round of UN Climate Summit in its Red Sea resort, Sharm el-Sheikh, next year. Sudanese police held a press conference in the capital Khartoum a day after 15 protesters were killed in the bloodiest violence since the country's October 25 coup. The director of Khartoum State Police on Thursday defended security forces against accusations that they had used violent methods to contain protests against Sudanese military coup. There was unjustified violence during the event of November 13. During this event, there were assaults of police and even we were surprised. The Sudanese have been taken to the streets in masses since last month's military takeover, which has threatened the country's fragile transition to democracy. We're not accusing any side because our investigations are still ongoing until now. Our investigation itself is concerned with the source of information. It is important for us to identify each Sudanese national who died. Protest leaders in Sudan have repeatedly called on demonstrators to abide by non-violent tactics in their attempt to out the coup. Wednesday's fatalities occurred in mostly Khartoum's district in Bari and the Sudanese capital twin city of Omdurman, according to Sudan Doctors Committee. The deaths brought the overall death toll since the coup to at least 39.
Ahmed Nyongera is a Burundian lawyer and activist. He's been living in exile in Belgium since 2014. Burundian authorities condemned him to life in prison for defending its opponents. Reacting to the US's lifting of sanctions against the country, Nyongera said the decision came too soon. We see a continuous regression, human rights violations, and we also see many cases of forced disappearances, many cases of torture, many cases of assassinations. There's been no end to this. Nyongera campaigns against torture in Burundi. He says his organization has documented over 600 cases of extrajudicial killings during the current president's term. A country that's under investigation by the ICC, but there are countries that think they can collaborate with this country. It's grave and it's nonsense. What surprises us is that this resumption of cooperation is not conditional on the respect of human rights. Whereas when sanctions were imposed, they were imposed because there were violations. So the lifting of sanctions should also be conditional on respect for human rights. Burundi had faced international isolation during late President Pierre Nkurunziza's rule, but it began opening up after the election last year of Evariste Ndayishimiye. While lifting the sanctions, the US said the transfer of power had decreased violence and taken steps towards reforms. In 2015, President Nkurunziza had sought a controversial third term, plunging Bujumbura into a serious political crisis.